Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, I had a bit of a glitch with my let's talk about Tamiya talk. I literally don't know what happened. It wasn't a problem with my memory card. It was absolutely fine. There's plenty of space in it. I actually think we had a slight power cut. There was a slight flickering in the lights and then it just cut off. So I've had to split this video into two parts, and here's the second part. A bit ironic because I wasn't far from the end, to be honest. So this will be a bit shorter, that's for sure. Anyway, we were talking about Tamiya, and I was just getting to the point. If you look very carefully, you'll notice that in the interim gap between shooting these two, I've had a chance to change a few things around. We've got the Lancaster and the Mosquitoes here. Sheridan's moved up. We've got the Lockheed Big-38 Lightning. Excuse me, the white box version here, and the Lightning. The other Lightning is Lightning 2 has moved back a bit. Anyway, I was in the just really summing up, to be honest, and I was saying about the beauty of Tamiya really is that, frankly, they feel like they're on your side when you're doing the build, and it makes me almost feel like I'm part of a team instead of feeling I've got people working against me. Sounds like paranoia, this doesn't it really? But you know what I mean. You know, I'm just going to have a little play with some of mine. Show you some of those of you that may not have seen these. I'll show these as I'm talking away here. Zoom in on my Mosquito. This is the 48 scale one, which is a lovely kit. I mean, they do various versions of it, don't they? But it's an absolutely super kit, this one. Really like it, actually. And this is before I actually used to mask canopies. I think it's got a hand-painted canopy, would you believe, framing. So if you take your time, you can do it reasonably well, you know. It's got the door open though, so it doesn't want to be flying right at the moment. Yeah, so another of their classics, and again you can pick this up for about £20 or thereabouts, £21, something like that. It's a lovely kit, really nice one from their back catalogue from the late 80s, early 90s. That one. And then we've got a couple of Formula 1 cars. We've got Nigel Mansell's mighty 1990 Ferrari, and then we've got Mario Andretti's John Player Special Lotus there, just in the foreground, so I thought I'd bring that in. Just have a bit of variety rather than just do part 2 being the same as part 1. So, yeah, I think that the beauty of these kits really is that they are so meticulously engineered, not only in terms of the plastic and the tooling, but the instructions are very, very good. They can look a bit busy, the instructions, but I think that's because Tamiya are often in their quest for perfection, if you will. They have a habit of telling you how to get the exact colour shade that you require by mixing several colours, and that can make the instructions look very busy because it'll list 2, 3 or even 4 colours that need to be mixed in what ratios, and that can make it look a bit heavy on the eye, shall we say, rather than just recommending an already available paint. But that costs money, you know. So what they're really saying to you is if you've got their range, you can get an ideal match by doing a mix according to the recommended ratios that they're going to specify for you, which is to be admired, you know, rather than having to say, well, you need this, and you've got to go and spend another £50, £60 on paint. So I think that, as I was saying, there's a beauty in things that work properly and are done properly. Something else that I really admire in some of these kits, obviously it doesn't actually count in the case of the Mosquito, but the Lightning 2, for example, it comes with a stand. They're bringing back stands, which I really admire. And of course they've got stands in all those 32nd scale kits like the Corsair, Spitfire, Mustang, etc. And they have a stand and they have a pilot, so you can pose it in flight. And we need more of that, and this is something that, you know, people say, oh, Tamiya are quite expensive. Well, actually, when you've got to then go, you know, if you buy, I'm just picking on Airfix because they're a well-known brand in the UK, but you buy an Airfix and you've got to go and buy a stand, and then you've got to get an aftermarket pilot, and you've got to add all these things. Suddenly they're not, you know, and I'm not just picking on Airfix, it's true with Revell, you know, Great Wall, Hobby, all these other guys that I've been talking about, Tacom, etc, etc. You've got to go and buy all these extras, resin pilots and this fancy ejector seats and all this. It soon starts to get proper expensive. So actually Tamiya are not that expensive, because it's all in the box. You know, everything you really need is basically in the box in most of their kits. And as I said with the Spitfire, if you want to sort of upgrade with a bit of extra plumbing and wiring, which isn't so prevalent, that's probably true here with the Mosquito. I might have to take a view on that. and put a bit of extra plumbing and wiring into that as well, I think, just to, you know, to make it, if I have the cowlings open, just to give it that bit of extra realism, really. By the way, I've just realised I've left my watch over there, and it's very precariously perched on the back of my car, which we don't really want. I'll just put that back on if you don't mind. Yeah, so, you know, when we talk about value, don't confuse price with value, and a lot of people do that. They don't understand the difference between price, cost and value. Value is what you get for the money, yeah. And if you have to go out and buy umpteen, you know, you got to buy masks, you got to buy pilots, you got to buy stands, suddenly your Airfix or Tacom or, you know, Great Wall Hobby or whatever the kit may be, can start to look, you know, really quite expensive, and not the bargain that you thought it was, frankly. So bear those things in mind. Tamiya will give you everything, you know, not always 100% perfect in the package, perhaps thinking perhaps about the decals, but at least they are barely usable, unlike the Edward ones, which I said earlier. And I think that's you know, something to be factored into your decision-making process when you're thinking about whether you want to spend the extra on Tamiya. You may end up spending that extra anyway, because frankly, you know, to get the package and the things you need to complete the model in the way you want to do it, especially if it's perhaps going to be part of a diorama or something like that. Actually, I've got this Mosquito in a bit of a diorama. It sits there. It's got the Tamiya officers, 2 pilots being briefed by a senior officer with the Austin 10 kilowatt truck, I think it is, 10 hundredweight truck, I should say. And that's quite a nice diorama. I've got it on one of those Coastal Kits display stands on an airfield, so it looks pretty good actually. It looks alright. And again, you know, Tamiya are very good with their vehicles. You can often get a vehicle, especially at 48 scale, to go with it, and that's why they recently did this these bundles where they were giving the Kubelwagen or the Austin truck or the American Jeep, I think it was, with the Mustang. They did a lot of bundles and things like that, quite effective, you know. So think about it. Those of you that are not, you know, Tamiya fans or not Tamiya's biggest fans, try and bear in mind that you do get a heck of a lot in the box, and you get something that has been properly researched, properly engineered, with 1 or 2 notable exceptions, literally 1 or 2 I can think of only. And even these older kits that they produce are very, very credible. They're very, very affordable. Great for entrance into the hobby. You know, just go to Tamiya. Go to Tamiya, because even now at 72nd scale, they've got some nice kits. Like they have that new BF109 G6. They scaled it down to 72nd. That was another nice kit. So there's some great stuff, you know, to suit every pocket really and every customer, I think. Are they the best model kit company in the world? Probably. I think they probably are, and that's the best way to sum it up. I can't think of any company that are offering more pound for pound in total for what you pay and what you get in return. That doesn't mean that you want to just build their kits, because some of their subjects don't always chime with everybody's tastes. Things like their cars, for example, they used to do this wonderful range of Formula 1 cars, and sadly, and this is not the fault of Tamiya, but they've not got licensing, it seems, with anybody now that I can think of, current licensing. And this, I think, is a problem of Formula 1, really. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but great shame. And you can see how well they did these cars, you know, and how well they did them in comparison with other manufacturers. I mean, I did this one, which was a dream build, really, almost a dream build. And then I built the Brabham fan car from Fujimi, which was not a bad build, but nothing like, you can tell it wasn't Tamiya. And I alluded to this earlier when I was talking about the Porsche versus the Mercedes, the Porsche Fujimi versus the Mercedes Sauber from Tamiya, and the fact that there's no comparison really, not in terms of the way they go together. The engineering is on a different level, and that's what you're getting for your money. So, you know, if you want to fight and struggle with something, but you haven't got the cash, then you just need to adapt your skills, obviously. But if, like me, you've fought and struggled with many kits over the years, and you've had enough of that and really sick of it, to be honest, then it's time for something like this. And I think that I'll be building that in 2024. that's going to be my big build, my biggest build, well, ever really, I suppose. Apart from 24 scale stuff from Airfix and days gone by, and also their 48 scale Concorde was quite big. But that's going to be something that I can use. I've got a process I developed in the way I go about my models. I've alluded to it before about being a bit OCD. Because of that, I kind of have a system which suits Tamiya, or maybe it's almost like Tamiya has programmed me and I don't even realise it, like I've been brainwashed, I don't know. But I have a system of a very modular construction where I try and bring everything together at the end in a final assembly sort of phase, and I pre-prepare lots of bits of engines, and I'll pre-prepare sub-assemblies basically, and then try and bring them together as late as possible, rather than build it up and spray as I go, which can be problematic. So you end up with a lot of masking needed and stuff like that. I like to minimise the masking and try and spray things. I've even been known to paint on the sprue, and then I sort of finesse them once they come off the sprue, and then bring it all together in a final assembly. I've certainly built a lot of things like that, like the race cars in particular, because it seems to suit them, because you can do that. You can have the engine gearbox as one project, and the monocoque as another project, and the wheels and tyres and bodywork as another project. So I am very, I actually find Tamiya, the way that their kits go together, does suit my style of building, more so than perhaps others do. I did the ICM MiG-25 Foxbat, and that was a much more, what you might call conventional. I sort of struggled with that a bit, but I didn't struggle with the kit, I just struggled adapting to the way I needed to do it. Had a great result in the end, very happy with it. I thought it was a good kit as well. But the Tamiya sort of way that they do these sub-assemblies and everything is, and then kind of slotted together, that's certainly true with the new F-35, by the way. And I'll just say as well at the end, the new latest version of the F-35, the B, which is used by Britain and others, and the States and many other countries, that has just come out, and that looks, if anything, even better than the 35 that's over my shoulder, 35A. The B has obviously got the short vertical takeoff and rotating nozzle, vectoring nozzle, and the lift fan at the front. And I've seen the kit; it's just incredible, and another beautiful thing, really. So whether that wins Kit of the Year this year, I don't know. I kind of hope it doesn't, because I don't want to feel it's the same kit almost as last year. But we shall see. Other kits are coming through very shortly, for just before Christmas. So we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and our minds open, and see what we get, But there's been some good kits this year. I don't think there's been so many really knockout releases like we got back in 2016 when 2014 when this came out. Things like that we seem to have less and less of, unfortunately. And I think that the only thing I would say to Tamiya, in terms of things they need to change, they need to work on those decals, obviously, but they also need to think about, I think they may have retracted a bit too much, because this company isn't just a model kit company. They're very much known for their radio control. Model cars is something that they're very big into, and other toys that they get involved in from time to time. But I think that you can feel that they've perhaps not had the investment on the kit side in the last year or two, which is why we've not had any of these new 32nd scale releases. It baffled me, if I'm honest, that they didn't do a 109 in 32nd scale or an FW 190, and of course Zokimura have kind of beat them to it on both counts now. And I think that was, I don't blame Zokimura at all. I think that it was an open goal, really. So I do question a little bit the strategy, not the way they go about what they do, but more their planning strategy of what they're selecting as subjects. And I think that they have created a market for Zokimura to occupy, really. I mean, good luck to them. No problem at all as far as I'm concerned. As I said earlier, the more the merrier. I said that when I was talking about the Chinese manufacturers. I don't want to see less manufacturers, I want to see more. But by being perhaps a bit too conservative, I think that's Tamiya's one problem. I think engineering wise they're brilliant. I think they need to be given a little bit more funding on the kit side of the business, and I think that if they got that, I think they would they're just going to be, they're probably the undisputed number one already, but the crown just feels like it's slipping ever so slightly because they're not innovating with anything new. They haven't brought any massive projects out really, apart from the F35, and it's the same again this year. And I would have expected them to do something in between those two variants of the F35, and perhaps another 32nd scale Warbird, you know, a P40. I think that would make perfect sense for them to do a P40. Obviously they've got the Zero already, but what else? I don't know, maybe a Messerschmitt 262 in 32nd scale. That would be really cool. A few options there, things that they can actually produce. Another one that they might want to think about, I thought, was perhaps a Hawker Tempest, which I think that they could do and do well. So there's a few subjects there that I think would sell well, you know, around the world. Or of course, somebody said to me only a few months ago, why don't Tamiya do a P47 Thunderbolt in 32nd? That would make a lot of sense because it would sell so well in the States. A lot of Europeans and Brits would buy it as well. You know, that would be a very sensible choice. So there's a few suggestions there for you. Mr. Tamiya, no charge to you, free advice. I mean, he probably doesn't need my advice, but I just feel that they're not growing at the rate they were, and they're not growing in terms of their groundbreaking, game-changing, astonishing new ideas. They seem to have deliberately pulled back on that, like they don't want to spend the money, perhaps because of uncertain times, not sure, but really would love to see them expand again and do more of the innovation like we saw, like in here with that, the wheel set, the undercarriage. So let's keep fingers crossed that they're going to do that in the not too distant future. Anyway, I've probably said enough. I think it was only fair at the end of the year to sort of round off and say that I don't love every subject Tamiya come out with, but I think they probably are my favourite model producer. Just because you know that it's just got that, when you take the lid off the box and you know everything's going to be right, you know, they're going to have perfect artwork, they're going to have proper history, they're going to give you performance data about the subject of the aircraft or the vehicle or whatever it is. And they're going to have done lots and lots of meticulous research, and it's going to be a true scale model that represents, if you put the effort in, you can make it represent the true subject matter at the end. And that's not true of a lot of these other kits. You know, some of them have just become an uphill battle because they haven't engineered them properly, they haven't bothered to give you proper instructions, they haven't bothered to give you any data, and you're left in the dark about what you're supposed to be doing and what the purpose of it is. Tamiya cover everything. Yeah, it's a building experience, and it's often a historic journey really. Building one of their kits is absolutely fantastic, very involving, very enjoyable on many different levels. You know, you gain knowledge, you can improve your skills, you can use, as I say, treat it as a blank canvas, and try and personalise, make your own take on a given subject. And because you've got such great basic material to work with, you have got, the world is your oyster. You know, it's limitless. You can take it as far in terms of weathering and dioramas. You can go as far as you want to with the Tamiya kit, because they just give you such a fundamentally sound, perfectly engineered, not over-engineered, just perfectly engineered product. And yeah, they're also very good at finding solutions. You know, things like jigs, they help you along, and this is what I was saying at the beginning of this part 2. I was actually saying, as I got cut off, that it makes you feel like you're almost in a team, and you are now the builder, you are the member of the team that's doing the building, and you're going to do the weathering and finishing. So you're almost like the final half of a process. And with a lot of kits that you spend quite a lot of money on, you can flash out, you know, £200-300 on some kits and think, wow, why is it that price? Because it doesn't command that price, you know. I mean, this one here is the most expensive kit I've currently got. They're worth in the shops, so £180 retail, I think it is. But that's got lots of extras in that box right in front of me. It's got all sorts of stuff. There's ammo feed chutes and guns and you name it, all sorts of things. There's some decals, interior seat belts, instrumentation for the cockpit. That's worth about £250, that box. But it's going to be something that's going to be an experience where I'll come in here, I'll take the lid off the box every time I want to come and have a go at it, and I'm going to be like, and try and relax and do exactly what the hobby's supposed to be for. Takes you out of yourself, takes you away from the troubles and difficulties and the bad weather and the bad politics and worries about the world. Takes you away from all that, puts you in your own little zone where you can create something and you can build on the basics that's in front of you, and you're not battling, you're not fighting, you're not getting frustrated. You're going to be in an assembly process where you're learning about the product and you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining skill, you're using your own skills to enhance it and make it even better. That's what it's all about. And above all, have an enjoyable hobby. And that's what I have found not to be the case with a lot of others. I can make an Airfix kit and I can enjoy it, and I can make one or two others, enjoy them. But none of them quite give me the satisfaction that the Tamiya does, because there is less time battling and more time adding things, adding detail, adding weathering, adding realism, because I have got the fundamental thing. They've got my back. They've got my back, and that's the way I feel about them. I think that it's almost like, relax. We've got this. We've got this one. You just focus on building it and making it unique, and giving a completely different take on it in your own personalised way. And that is the value of Tamiya. It's fun. It's fantastically good, and it's like I said about a Swiss watch. It's like a Swiss watch in model making. It just does what it says on the tin, and very, very well. And it gives you the ultimate ability to make it your own, piece of art. So that's my take on Tamiya. I know that I had to split this into two for reasons not entirely clear. So I think we had a bit of a pulse with the slight flashing of lights. So whether we've got a bit of a lightning or something, I'm not sure. But there was nothing on my side. I couldn't find any fault with the camera, and there's plenty of room on the memory card, so it wasn't at my end, not me, Gov. I didn't touch anything either, because I was even checking to say, did I press a button or something? No, I checked, didn't press anything. So very strange. Anyway, there we go. So I'm rounding off this series of looking at these current manufacturers. That's it for now. I wanted to kind of round it off with Tamiya because I felt that they were to me the best. Not perfect as I've explained, but yeah, I think that if they can iron out one or two of those minor issues, very minor issues, and just work on those, then they would be perfect. They're not that far away. If they could it would be a miracle to me if they could get rid of all those minor problems, then that would be quite something, I think. And then people will just have no sort of argument against them. It'd be fantastic. But this isn't just about being a fanboy. It's not a love-in. I'd like to see other manufacturers, look at Tamiya and appreciate what they've achieved, what their strengths are, and why people love them so much, why they are such a popular company worldwide. Because I think that others just completely miss the point, really. That they, to some companies it's all about scanning, and that's the whole job. They just scan using technology really as a shortcut, and they're not putting in that same level of detail and quality in the rest of the process or the rest of the product that you actually buy. And a lot of us want to buy a product that's going to engross us, educate us, entertain us, and bring enjoyment. And I think that Tamiya does that. So there you go. They're probably my favourite model company. But others are coming. We saw Meng improving radically, and we've got Zokimura hot on the heels. So they can't afford to sit on their laurels. So I say to Tamiya, congratulations. I think you're doing a fine job, but don't rest on your laurels. You can't afford to do that. And I think that they need to have a new impetus and a new momentum and push forward again and show us what they can do, which they've done so impressively in the recent past. And I just congratulate them, but I also say, fingers crossed, please take on board those observations, and I hope that you will come back with more energy in the next year or two and do new things and push forward a bit more to keep your market lead, because I would hate to see that market lead slip. And they've raised the bar so high, and some companies have indeed copied them, not copied them, but they've emulated and understood their success. And you can see how Tamiya has raised the standard, and even these kits, some of these kits I complain about, they're better than a lot of manufacturers were 30 or 40 years ago, to be fair. The standards have improved, and there's never been a better time to be in scale modelling than there is today. So that's where we're at. So I just hope, I'd say to Tamiya, you have a small lead in the market in terms of perception and quality and your image, and I think you should aim to maintain it and preferably increase it. And if you work at that, I think you're going to remain probably the market leader, to be honest. Anyway, thank you to Tamiya. I didn't get any phone calls interrupting me today. Thank you to all of you for watching. I hope you agree with me. Obviously not everybody will, but I think that I've highlighted the areas where they have got some issues, and I've highlighted the super strengths they've got as well. And it's like anything, you know, you work on your strengths and you try and delete the weaknesses as best you can, and you try and improve your strengths. Let's hope that they can do that. Hope to see you all over the Christmas New Year period. I think that my probably my final video of the year is going to be a bit of a party. We're probably going to have a bit of a review of the year, talking about models, of course, a bit of champagne maybe, and perhaps I'll do a top 10 of my favourite kits of the year. It hasn't been an absolutely stellar year this year, I don't think, but there has been some good ones. Some have been a surprise, some surprisingly good, some surprisingly bad. But we shall see. I don't, in my mind, still have that list formulated. I honestly can say that as I'm recording this, because there's still 3 to come that I'm expecting, waiting for, and I'm not sure which is going to be the best one. So we shall see. We shall see. But anyway, we can all have a drink together and share a bit of time and have a chat, and continue to use the Christmas and New Year holidays to do some modelling and enjoy our hobby. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, thought it was interesting and certainly thought-provoking, and thank you for all your time. And until I see you at the New Year party, thanks very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves, stay warm and stay safe. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.